What is up, Babylonians? Dan was here, and today we're going to look at the Trigger Twitch set, and we're going to take a look at what I have done with it, what I have achieved with it, what it potentially can do, and also what we may try in the future as well, and possibly get some messages from you guys as well, letting me know what we can do to actually improve this. So here is the Trigger Twitch set being used on a Trickster. Now I do feel like it could work, and I feel like it does sort of work currently, but I do believe that the issue is actually that the set bonus itself isn't great. The mods on it, they all work pretty well actually, and they do actually create a powerful build. But let's have a look first at what armor we have and what weapon we'll be using. So I've just actually equipped this. So this is actually going to be something we're going to test in this video as well. So we have the Sasha Lamia. We've got Omen on there on the third slot, and we have Fortress added onto there as well with Hot Blood on there. It does crit damage as well, which is great. We need to just boost up that a little bit in a moment as well. But it is, at the moment, it's looking like possibly the perfect handgun for this build. So we'll go on to the Trigger Twitch's mask we're going to be using, which has firepower, cooldown reduction, and close range damage. Comes with high stakes, which after rolling after 4 successful shots with your sidearm, grants a 100% critical chance bonus for 3 seconds. And on there we've added Achilles Heel, which increases our critical damage by 50% of our resistance piercing. And we have Anomaly Echo on there as well, which I think is great. It gives us the firepower and a anomaly boost as well for 6 seconds on skill activation, which will be activating our skills quite often as well. So go on to the Trigger Twitch's coat. Again, firepower, cooldown reduction, and close range damage, which we will be fighting from close range quite a lot, which you'll see. With this, it comes with Crazed Gunman, which we have kept, which gives critical shots with sidearm stack a 10% critical damage bonus up to 5 times. Bonuses lost upon swapping weapons or missing a shot. So by being close range, we're not going to miss many shots, hopefully, as well. And then we've added on to here no resistance against the fortified, which increases our resistance value by 65% of our armor piercing value. So we do need to try and get some armor piercing to improve this as well. And then we've got plate dodge on there, which rolling increases our armor by 207,000, which just gives us that little bit extra survivability, and we will be rolling quite a lot due to the high stakes mod. So that is going to help improve our survivability, but also it's kind of not going to hinder us anyway because we are going to be rolling as often as possible. Then onto the Trigger Twitch trousers, which again, bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, and close range damage. With this, it comes with quick iron. After every 3 critical shots with sidearms, you can instantly reload your clip. Bonuses lost upon switching weapons, or if the sidearm was reloaded before achieving the bonus. Now, I'm actually not too fussed about this one. I think this one does hinder us a little bit, so it is actually possible to swap that out, possibly for something else like I put Twisted Fate on these ones here, which just gives me the critical bonus damage with twisted rounds. So we may change that in the video as well, but I will show you if we do that. But first of all, let's go on to the gloves. So with this, what you want to try and find is just something now that will help sort of benefit yourself overall. So with the boots and the gloves, I've got Resistance Piercer on the gloves, which increases my critical damage. And on the gloves, I've gone through all the gloves that I currently own, and there's nothing particularly that sort of stands out to me at the moment. There's nothing that really is going to help too much, so you can go for something like these that gives you the bonus firepower, close range damage, decreases borrowed time, increases your anomaly power sort of thing. We want to look more for firepower if we can. It depends on what gun you use as well. So if we do use something like the Corruptor, we have put anomaly enhancement on there, which increases my firepower by 40% of the anomaly power. On this I put Fortress, but that is, like I say, open to change, and if you guys think that it's something we should change as well, we can revisit it and do that as well. Or we could go for something like this anyway, that gives us arms and anomaly. Critical shots increases anomaly power there as well. But also it's got the instant reload on there, which does help quite a bit with our build. So we're going to put those on for now, but we do want to try and find the perfect gloves that will do something similar, whilst also increasing our close range damage, our bonus firepower, all the good stuff really. Onto the boots though, we've got bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, and unfortunately long range damage. We'd rather have that short range, but we do have the increased damage to sidearms by 12%. And also resistance pierce, like I mentioned earlier, giving that bonus critical damage equal to our resistance piercing. The skills that we'll be using are Hunt the Prey, just to get us up nice and close to the enemies, plus it will initiate a reload for us each time that we use that as well. We'll get our full ammo back. Then we'll be going to be using Borrowed Time, which just gives us, as you'll see when we look at the packs tree, an extended amount of use of a movement skill. We'll come into that a little bit more shortly. And then we have Twisted Rounds, just to give you that increased firepower, that increased damage as well. It's a pretty standard on, every single Trickster build pretty much, apart from, spin to win builds. Let's take a look at the Trickster tree that we've gone into. So let's start off nice and easy, go down to resist. Obviously have to get the concentration, but we want to get to the disturbance coating to increase our resistance power, resistance piercing by 10%. That just gives us that extra critical damage due to the mods that we do have on. And then we want to go mostly the top tree, so we want to go for the close range damage, increase the armor piercing, which feeds into the critical damage as well, increase our weapon damage, close range damage, and then activating movement skills, which we'll be using a lot of, will increase our armor piercing by 25%. Then we're going to go into increasing critical damage, close range damage, activating movement skills increases weapon damage by 35%. Increasing armor piercing again, and there as well. And then we go to Unforeseen End, increasing weapon damage from behind, close range damage, decrease our movement skills, increasing weapon damage from behind by 20% again, and damage to elites by 15%. And then again over here we have another cooldown of our movement skills, just so we can constantly be using Hunt the Prey to get around the map to our enemies and get them taken care of nice and quick. Now the packs tree, I think, is where this build sort of does shine. So we're going to go for the bottom tree, the Exploiter tree. We're going to go into Triggerman. So the damage increased by 50% for each skill on cooldown, which should be our Hunt the Prey quite often. So that will be just almost a flat out 15% additional damage for us. Then we're going to take on Cheap Shot, just in case we do use the melee, which we sometimes will, due to the way that the actual 3-piece Trigger Twitch actually does work, which we'll go into in a moment as well. Then we're going to go into Failsafe Protocols, just because we have to. And then we're going to go for the top tree. So Rigged Game, activating skills increases your critical damage by 10% for 5 seconds. And then Infinity Slinger. So sidearm weapons do not consume ammo during and for 4 seconds after using a movement skill. So that means if you use Hunt the Prey, you have 4 seconds after that to shoot as many bullets as possible before your ammo starts depleting. But also, because we're going to be using Borrowed Time on top of that, whilst we are using it, it is not going to consume any ammo at any point. But here's the kicker. If we go and have a look at the actual set bonus, spending 50% of your total ammo in your current sidearm magazine as critical shots allows you to perform a special attack activated through your melee skill. dealing 1.4 million damage, split up to 5 enemies within a 15-meter radius, which scales with firepower, and receive a 50% damage mitigation during the attack. Now, from testing, it seems that if you are to use that infinite ammo, it doesn't matter if obviously the ammo is not going down. As long as you use half of what the magazine would be, then you will actually get the ability to use. So let's take a look at the sort of damage that this build can do. So we are using this pistol here. We haven't tried this out with this pistol just yet, but we have had success with a different one. We haven't leveled it all up just yet because we don't want to waste the shards. Let's teleport behind. Get a few shots off. As you can see, we're getting the critical hits because we're getting those 4 shots on the enemies, then rolling. And we're not using any ammo up at the moment because we are using the borrowed time. If we use our melee, take out a few enemies because we've done the critical hits that we need. Get the borrowed time back on. Just keep shooting, roll. You got your critical hits on then. And we're also getting that armor bonus as well from that mod. It does require some sort of accuracy, which, as you can see, I'm missing quite a few of my shots there. But if you're taking your time, if you're playing solo, it's probably a bit more difficult to take your time. But if you're playing as a duo or trio, then you will have that backup and support. So you'll be okay to sort of just take your time to take those shots. Now we've messed up there because we've completely ruined our fortress, so we have died. But you can see how the set's working if you do it properly. So if we retry that, that is one thing I will say, that you're not really the most powerful or the most hardy of builds, really. So you do have to sort of look after yourself a little bit, try and keep yourself out of big bundles of enemies. And you are more likely then to survive. So for me, I probably would say this is definitely more of a set that you can play with friends rather than solo. But at the same time, it does bits. We can definitely improve on this damage as well, just by leveling up the actual crit damage that you've got. But it does take care of enemies fairly quickly, and you do deal a decent amount as well with each hit as well. But for me, it doesn't seem like it is actually the best build that you can sort of do with the Trigger Twitch sets, possibly. I do wonder if maybe this is more suited for something like the Devastator. So I have our Songs of Rays, if you can take a look into that, see if we can get his Devastator rocking the Trigger Twitch set, or at the very least some of the more interesting mods that are available on this set. So the one that allows you to get critical shots as long as you've hit 4 shots and then do a roll. But my biggest problem with this definitely is the survivability. So I think it's probably better for a beast sort of level, something more like Heart of the Wild. So we'll take a look at that one now. So here we go, trying it more so against beasties rather than humans now. So this should hopefully be a bit more survivable. But ideally we want something that can survive against both. As you can see though, no ammo is being used at this moment because we do have our borrow time turned on. Obviously that's just disappeared as I said that, so we are going to start consuming ammo now. We have the 4-second grace which is gone, but now that we've reactivated straight away, we've got that infinite ammo back again. And just hit those critical shots for days, and we can also use the actual set bonus as well to deal some damage too. So that is my take on the Trigger Twitch set. I don't actually think the set bonus itself is all that great. It deals a okay amount of damage to a single enemy, but because it's spread across the 5 enemies, it doesn't deal a hell of a lot, so we didn't really focus on that in this video. But the mods themselves I do like, so we'll go through those again, what mods I think are actually good to take from this. So if you can get any purple drops with or purple apocalyptic drops with these on here, and anything else that does help, then definitely I would say use those mods. So the high stakes, rolling after 4 successful shots, grants you 100% critical chance bonus. 100% brilliant mod. I would definitely use that one with possibly any class. So Devastator probably be good for that one. Trigger Twitch's coat, we have the Crazed Gunman, which stacks 10% extra critical damage up to 5 times. Definitely would use that one. Quick Iron, every 3 critical shots, instant reload to clip. I personally don't really like that one if you're trying to use it with the Trigger Twitch set bonus, but it's half decent if you are using, possibly if you're using the Hunt the Prey rather than Borrowed Time, because then you will have just that extra bit of time to reload before you are, or auto reloads before you do use your Hunt the Prey. The problem with this though is that it does cancel out your twisted rounds, so you'd have to use it without that. So you'd have to be going for higher critical damage without using twisted rounds as well. And then just every other the mods that we have on here obviously does help, but those are the main ones from the Trigger Twitch set that do deal or help deal those critical damage and keep your ammo up as well. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Keep yourself safe, keep yourself well, and we shall see you in the next video.